A very good evening to you and welcome to Big Talk here on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Godwin Sunday. Well, it's a good time for you to follow us, and of course, it is a good way to also commit Nigerian and of course the world at large to the hand of Almighty Allah for peace and progress, even as we forge ahead in our human endeavors. Well, let's look at the first conversation today, which is tied around the fact that the governor of Akwa Ibom State, the person of Umo Eno, has officially defected from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress, APC. He stated this during an official announcement at the government house in Uyo, the state capital. The governor said the decision followed the 3 months of wide consultation with critical stakeholders across the state, expressing his gratitude to the People's Democratic Party for their support during his tenure, stating that it was a time for him to make a progressive move. Well, that's quite interesting. So for joining me to talk about this big conversation this evening is Jide Ojo, who is a public affairs analyst and is joining me via Zoom. Good evening, and so good to have you join me even this evening, Jide. All right, let's begin the conversation from the fact that you've heard from the read that the Akwa Ibom State governor is no longer a story, that he has moved from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress. But let's even get your thoughts even on this, on the thought around the defection of political office holders in Nigeria, which has now become like a reoccurring phenomenon and a common decimal factor in the Nigerian body politics. What do you make of his eventual move right now to the All Progressive Congress?
Well, I will not play the ostrich and behave as if I do not know what the intent of those who are carrying out this geopolity, what their intent is. But it also shows the nascent nature of our political culture. We have not yet gotten to that level of political culture where we sink and swim with our political party. In US, with over 250 years of electoral democracy, you hear families who are Democrats for generations. You hear of families who are Republicans for generations. The same in UK. You hear of families that are Tories for generation. You hear of families that are Labour for generations. It's just like football teams. Some diehard football fan will tell you they are Gunners for life. That's their members of they are the members of the fan club of Arsenal. Some will say Blues for life, that's Chelsea. There are those who are saying they are Red Devils for life. That's members, supporters of Manchester United. And then there are those who don't walk alone, which is the Liverpool fans. But unfortunately for us in Africa, we have seen political parties as a special purpose vehicle with which we climb to power, and after winning election we can discard them at will. It does not help our political culture consolidation project because this defection affects the very existence of some weak parties. Take for instance, if a party has just a state House of Assembly member, and it is based on that recognition that the party is retained on the list of registered parties by INEC. The moment the member defects, that means that party can be deregistered for not having any member in the assembly or in the executive arm, or winning up to certain threshold of votes during the election. Because Section 225A of our Constitution has laid down the guidelines under which a party can be registered. And one of such is if a party does not win at least a councillorship position, or that it does not win certain threshold in election, it doesn't get certain votes in election. So it weakens these parties that are trying to struggle for existence, and that's why it should not be encouraged. Unfortunately, Godwin, it is what it is. Political parties and their chieftains are only after their own personal aggrandizement. Governor Umoh Enoh, for instance, wants to win re-election in 2027, and as he said recently before today, he said his party PDP is embroiled in leadership crisis, and he does not want to contest and win election that can be invalidated by the court. That, for instance, a national secretary and national chairman of a party is supposed to sign the nomination form. Assuming without considering that somebody now signed the nomination form and that person is deemed not to have been properly elected by the party, by the court, and that may be the basis on which an election can be technically invalidated. Don't forget what happened in Bayelsa State, I think in 2015 or 2019, when David Lion suffered vicariously by virtue of the fact that his running mate had issue with his name, and the Supreme Court invalidated that election, not on the basis that David Lion did not win election under APC in Bayelsa, but because his running mate have issues with what is the authentic name he has, because according to the court, he has 5 different names across 5 different certificates. And so I think that was part of the apprehension of Umoh Enoh that made him to jump, and he said he did it after 3 months of consultation. But remember what I said earlier, it's all about interest. Politics is a game of interest. It's not a game of friendship or enmity. It's about like you are playing chess, and in a chess game there are pawns, and then there is a queen and a king, and so it's about survival, political survival at the end of the day. I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, now, yes.
All right. So, during the course of the election that brought in Umoh Enoh into office, we saw the wide range of criticism even coming from Umoh Enoh against the All Progressive Congress, saying that the party, he categorically called them literally vampires, that they are not even fit to be in office, that they brought more suffering to Nigeria. It's 2 years and he has moved to the All Progressive Congress. In your own analysis, and when you observe the political terrain using the eye of a political lens in this instance, what has changed? Has the party, All Progressive Congress, now become so sanctimonious that they can now accommodate the wishes of Umoh Enoh and interpret his vision perfectly, and PDP is no longer the vehicle that can drive home his vision and policy even for developing the good people of Akwa Ibom State? When you just oppose this whole conversation, looking at it from 2 angles, what do you think, what's your submission even on this? What has changed in the space of 2 years between the All Progressive Congress, which he has insulted, and now moving to the All Progressive Congress?
But doing what has changed is interest. It's interest. See, yes, some wicked said worse things about APC and about even the person of President Bola Tinubu. But today, even when he was asked pointedly, he said over his dead body, he will never accept any appointment. He is okay. APC is a party of evil doers. It's all politics. And I tell you for free, Godwin, I pity political aides of politicians who take it upon their head to insult the perceived opponent of their principal, because you will be left in the lurch. We've seen recently Sheriff Oborowori of Delta jumping into APC. I recall his former commissioner of information when he was still with the AIT, that's Eyedu Anagu. You possibly know him when he was still practicing journalism under APC or under Africa Independent Television. They used to have this program in the morning. What is it? Political update? No, political updates on Ray Power. On Ray Power FM, Ray Power 100.5 FM. Eyedu Anagu was a regular host on that show. He was busy castigating those who are leaving PDP for other parties and all of that. But today, he was still the one that announced that his principal is leaving PDP for APC. He used to call them jumpology. That what are they looking for? It doesn't help our democracy. It doesn't. But I tell you for something. I don't know if you have a politician friend. They are never reliable. They are, in fact, when a politician tells you, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, they take whatever they say with a pinch of salt. I just gave you the example of Nyesom Wike. On tape, he says so many unprintable things. Look at Reno Omokri. Reno Omokri said unprintable things about President Bola Tinubu ahead of 2023 election. Called him names and all of that. Today is one of the biggest defender of President Bola Tinubu. So, politicians are a special breed of people. They say whatever they like, but when the table turns, when they see that their position is threatened, they will sing a new tune. And don't think this is the end of defection. It has also been insinuated that Sim Fubara may defect after coming back to office, sometimes in September or October. But that is still speculative. The most important thing is that there are micro and macro variables at play here. Let me tell you, let me situate what Umoeno has done in a context. Aside from survivor as a person, he is also thinking of aligning with the federal government. Don't forget the neighboring state, Cross River, under Ben-Ayale defected to APC before 2023, and Senator Bassey Otu, who is the governor now, is still a governor of APC. Even Dave Umahi, who is now a APC chieftain. Dave Umahi, if you know his political pedigree, was everything a person can be in the political administration and management of PDP in Ebonyi State. And not he was a former chairman of PDP in Ebonyi before he became the governor, and before he became, he now defected during his second tenure and contest for senatorial election under APC, won, and then left senatorial elections, his senatorial seat, to become a minister, super minister, minister of works. So it's all about interest. It's about where their bread will be best buttered. And that's why I pity those who are aides of politicians, particularly those who do not display maturity, those who feel that they have to impress their principal by insulting and calling the perceived enemies of their principal unprintable names, because you don't even know where your principal meets with those opposition elements when under the cover of darkness. We have seen children of perceived political enemies marrying. We have seen it happen. we have seen, was it not recently in Rome that you saw Peter Obi kneeling before Bola Tinubu during the pontiff's first outing as a pope, just last month or thereabout. So you just take politicians' name. When Peter Obi said he will never leave APGA, he was on tape. He said he will never, nothing will make him to leave APGA. That was like 10 years or more ago. Has he not left APGA for PDP? Has he not left PDP for Labour? Who knows if he will still contest under Labour Party in 2027? So, I mean, just don't take it to heart when a politician makes a promise or when they say things. They are only, those things they say are only good for that moment. When the table turns, when they are looking for favors, they will sing a new thing. And when you take them up and say, but you said it yourself, forget it. It's all politics. That's what they will tell you. It's all politics. Forget about it. It's all politics. So politics of deception is what we play in this country.
All right, Jide, let's even look at this whole process of defection. It started up from the assemblies, national assemblies, and it has moved right now to governors, and it is becoming like a recurring thing for state governors to defect at will. But then let's even talk about the blueprint and the impact of governors Eno's government so far in Akwa Ibom State. When you begin to rate its performance in the last 2 years, is it something to write home about? There's something tangible for one to even use to say this is a yardstick to preserve and also guarantee that come 2027 it will be re-elected by its people. Let's even x-ray its performance so far. In your own, how will you rate its performance so far even in Akwa Ibom State?
Let me shock you, Godwin. If you are in Akwa Ibom or you are an Akwa Ibom governor and you don't perform, you should be stoned to death. That governor should be stoned to death because there is a lot of resources.
We don't support violence.
I'm putting it in context. Okay. I'm putting it in context that I'm not saying you should stone anybody to death. I'm only telling you that with the kind of resources that the state has, you are forced to perform. When our common governor, who is now number 3 citizen, when he was governor, he did a lot for the people, build stadium, build road. Then they called Pastor Deacon Udo Emmanuel, who was there for 8 years. He did his own bit, and Umaino is also pulling his weight because the state is financially viable. It's one of the few states that are financially viable. Do you know that about 28 oil wells that they were in dispute with Cross River State Oil, they got all the oil wells credited to them by Supreme Court. So I think they are number 3 or number 4 in terms of crude oil production, particularly at the Eket angle. So there is a lot of resources to develop, and Umaino is claims to be a pastor, and I was in Uyo like 2 years ago during was it 2 years ago or was it last year? But I saw some developmental strides that he has achieved, but I'm not in the best position to rate his performance. It is the average citizen of Akwa Ibom that can say what was before he came and what he's been able to do in the last 2 years. But like I said, it's not a state that is struggling to survive. It's a state that has enormous resources from federation account, is getting 13% derivation, is getting a lot of resources from tourism, because now you can see that most of our international football matches are taken to Uyo the stadium. Aside from there, It's a very peaceful state. It's one of the most visited states in the South region. In fact, more visited than Benin or Calabar. If you look at the volume of traffic going to Uyo, is far higher than those going to any other state capital in the South Side. Whether you are talking of Yenagoa, or you are talking of Benin, or you are talking of Calabar, or you are talking of Asaba, or any other states. So they make a lot of money from tourism, from hospitality business. They also make a lot of money from crude oil production. And so the government has no reason not to perform. So that was why I used that analogy, that if you don't perform, then it means you must be a thief who is just too greedy to do something to immortalize yourself. And I think Governor Umoeno is performing. But I think the Akwa Ibom's indigenes and citizens who live there are the ones that will better judge him on his performance.
Let's even talk about this governor in terms of, but then before we talk about the governor, let's look at the conversation around the fact that this tsunami that is greeting the entire South-South, there's this narrative that the tsunami greeting the South-South is targeted at converting the entire South-South to become a stronghold of the All Progressive Congress. Going by what we are seeing so far, Cross River State has moved to the All Progressive Congress. Now, Akwa Ibom has joined, and Delta State have joined. Edo State is already on the list and going forward. Looking at all of this, waiting for Bayelsa and River State to whether or not they will join in this Volkswagen. But then, when you look at this, how correct is it to say right now that this is not just about Umoeno, but rather the larger picture is to capture the entire south part geopolitical zone for President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in order to guarantee his victory in the 2027 polls?
Well, nothing can be put off the table. I've also heard that from the grapevine, and it's looking like it. But it goes beyond just making sure that the entire 17 states of the South are APC. Of course, this is what they call politics. But I think, while I will not rule you out of order, while you could be on point, I think the bigger picture for me is that Governor Umoeno wants to align with the center, because the state is having it good at the center. The number 3 citizen is a former governor of Akwa Ibom State. And when you look at the kind of constituency projects that is been able to attract to the state, you know that if your governor is with you, it does a larger chunk of dividends can come to the state. So, he doesn't want to be seen as working at cross purposes to his former colleague, or working at cross purposes with his former colleague. That's what I would say, because I don't know whether he served under Godswill Akpabio as commissioner. Well, I know Umoeno was a former commissioner before becoming a governor. Maybe under the immediate past, Dikin Udo Manuel. But what I see, which is more glaring at this point, is that he wants to align with the center, which is not a bad thing, and to ensure that if President Bola Tinubu wins a re-election in 2027, there is a most likely Godswill Akpabio will remain as number 3 citizen. And like I said, the kind of barren politics we play in Nigeria, if you are a number 3 citizen that controls the kind of budget that the National Assembly controls, you know what you can do for your people if you are a selfless leader. So that could be additional reason. We have seen it, but let's wait and see. Maybe by the end of the year, the picture will be clearer. If we see more governors from the southern part of the country defecting to APC, that may be like it. But because even in the southwest now, there is still a couple of others to scale in Oyo and Osun State, which are still PDP states. In the southeast, there is Anambra, there is Abia, that are still opposition states. Anambra is ABGA, and Abia is Labour. So even Enugu is still PDP. So it will be a tough call to make all the governors of the South to belong to APC. And while I will not fully subscribe to capturing the entire South for Bola Tinubu, is the fact that that will even be a dangerous kind of politics to play, which will be a bad precedent. I think you can still be in opposition and work for another party. Let me give you a very good illustration. In 2023, Governor Seyi Makinde belongs to the PDP. But if you go back and look at the presidential election result, he won all the 33 local governments in Oyo State overwhelmingly, because Seyi Makinde, like 4 other governors led by Nyesom Wike then as governor of Rivers, said they were not going to work for Atiku Abubakar, and they didn't defect. Even as PDP governor, they worked for Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and that's why he won in Oyo State. So you don't even have to officially defect. Look at Nyesom Wike. Nyesom Wike said he's not leaving PDP, but he will work for President Tinubu in 2027. He didn't say it inside the closet. He has said it on a live TV and radio programs several times. So I don't subscribe to the fact that you have to woo or coerce all the governors in the South to belong to your party before they can support. They can be a member of your party and still work against your party. That's why we see a lot of anti-party going on. Look at the case of Abia, where the chairman of board of trustees of PDP, former president of the Senate, Adolphus Wabara, has severally said he was going to work and for Alex Otti in 2027. He has endorsed Alex Otti against even his own party for 2027. So there is a lot of anti-party that can still go on, and that's why I won't want to fully subscribe to the fact that APC is trying to get the entire South to belong to APC. You don't have to do that. You can still have them in their respective party and get them to work for you. After all, the election for the governor and that of the president usually will not take place on the same day, and that's what favor. Look at Oyo State. The first election, which was a national election made up of the presidential and national assembly, they voted for APC in Oyo State, and 2 weeks after, when it was time to vote for the governor, they voted overwhelmingly for Seyi Makinde to win his re-election. So a lot of anti-party can still take place. I don't think it's fully true, even though it may be like it's being asked. I don't think it's needed for you to woo everybody and make it one party state. Even though I've written in my column in the Punch newspaper that Nigeria is already a de facto one party state, whether you like it or not. And when you talk about one party state, it doesn't mean that everybody in that country belongs to one party. There is a de jure and there is a de facto one party state. And Nigeria is already a de facto one party state, even though we are de jure a multi-party state. We have 19 registered political parties. There are 8 of these parties that have representation in the House of Reps. There are 7 of these parties that have representation in the Senate, and there are about 10 of them that have representation in the state houses of assembly, as well as about 6 that have representation the
right.
governorship
All right,
position.
Jide, let's go for this short break. When we come back, there's the conspiracy theory around the fact that key members of the All Progressive Congress are the one championing the cause of this unity, even among a minority political party. But how correct is this? Let's go for this short break. When we come back, we'll have that conversation. Please stay with us as the show continues in a moment. All right, welcome back. Well, confusion has continued to grip the hair across the country, talking about the most anticipated defection in Nigeria, which came as a rumor, it came as speculation, and it came as some form of a distraction conversation. But then it has come to fusion, it has come to limelight, and of course it has become practical as Governor Umo Eno of Akwa Ibom State, the executive governor of Akwa Ibom State, has officially moved to the All Progressive Party, dumping the People's Democratic Party. And these have sparked wild reactions across the country. People say that politicians are not reliable, politicians are not trusted, politicians can't be banked and can be banked upon. But all of these are just words coming from Nigerians. But then when we listen to Governor Umo Eno speak about this incident, he said that one of the reasons why he's moving from the People's Democratic Party to the All Progressive Congress is to ensure that he is able to secure his mandate and also try to push the state towards a progressive lane, which Akwa Ibom State has always been known to be. But then one of the moves he made prior to this time, sometime last week, was to also ask members of his cabinet to prepare to join him or tender resignation. So far, it's only one person from that cabinet that has tendered his resignation. He gave his support and blessing to the governor, and of course wished the governor well and in subsequent endeavors, and he said he was happy that the governor was able to give him the opportunity to be part of his ESCO. And this person is the president of Mr. Enobong, who resigned earlier today. Enobong was formerly the PDP publicity, the state publicity secretary of the People's Democratic Party in Akwa Ibom State from 2016 to 2020, and later information commissioner under former governor Udom Emmanuel. And of course, he is serving under the ESCO of His Excellency Governor Umo Eno right now. But then we will look at all of this and try to tie them up to the conversation, even in Akwa Ibom State. We begin to ask salient question. I beg your pardon. We begin to ask salient question. Enobong has been on the front burner of Akwa Ibom State politics, championing the cause of Akwa Ibom politics. But why did he decide not to even move with the governor? Rather, he will rather stick with his own personal convictions and belief. Well, we'll get to that conversation. But first, let me return back to Jide right now, talking about all of this narrative. Jide, welcome back. All right, so we're trying to look at all of this conversation and trying to even, we have a resignation later here with me where he writes to most sincerely appreciate the coincidence, the confidence and opportunity the governor gave to him to serve in his cabinet. He also expressed his deepest appreciation and profound value to the privilege, for the privilege and opportunity to serve in the government. Of course, these are days, it goes on and on. We got to talk to him this evening also to find out from him what his positions are and why is he not moving with the governor. But first, let's return back to GD at this point to talk about the issues around the conspiracy surrounding the All Progressive Congress right now, which it is largely stipulated or speculated rather, that the All Progressive Congress are the masquerade behind the dance that is also ensuring that all political parties are disorganized or having internal conflict, from the Labour Party, which has about 3 factions, through to People's Democratic Party, which is still bedeviled by a lot of leadership tussle, down to ABGA right now. It's almost on a faction lane. SDP is not spared in this divide. ADC also is having its own fair share of all of this division and party rancor. Right now, the most stable political party in the country is the All Progressive Party. So, Jide, let's look at this conspiracy. How correct is it to say that the All Progressive Congress is the mastermind behind some of this disunity and rancors that we are seeing right now around minority political parties, in order to pull members out of that party to join the ruling All Progressive Congress?
Godwin, I would not want to affirm what you have said, but just look at it that people defect on 4 cardinal reasons. One is to get re-election ticket. Number 2 is appointments. Number 3 is contracts. Number 4 is influence peddling. See, in politics, there are 2 cities, 2 countries, 2 nations. You are either in Siberia or you are in Saudi Arabia. In Siberia, the weather is very inclement. People don't usually want to go there. It's cold, freezingly cold all year round. But look at Saudi Arabia. A lot of people go there on pilgrimage. There is petrol dollars. There is a lot of resources. It's a country with milk and honey, as we say metaphorically. So there's always a pilgrimage from the opposition to the ruling party at every point in time. For 16 years that PDP was in power, that was the norm. It was PDP and others. This same accusation was leveled against PDP then, because I recall that each time that PDP claims that is forming a government of national unity, so they will call AD, ANPP to bring 1 or 2 nominations for appointive positions. Even Labour Party, I'm aware when Mimiko was the governor of Labour Party between 2006 and 2006 and 2014 or thereabout, it was giving slots. So what I'm telling you is that while I may not completely rule out that there is machinations of APC to destabilize the opposition, I think it's the opposition themselves that should have behaved themselves and not walk into the trap of the ruling party. Okay, the PDP, let's start from there. You said Iyorchia Ayu did not lead your party to victory. Just the same way you said Abubakar Muazu did not lead your party to victory in 2015, and you throw him under the bus. Immediately Ayu lost, Atiku lost to Tinubu in 2023. They threw Ayu under bus and said he's been sacked by his word. Instead of you to go for another convention, you allow Elias Damagum, Ambassador Elias Damagum, to be in acting capacity for the past 2 years. They did not deem it fit to hold another convention to fill those vacant positions. Now you allow Senator Sam Anyanwu to go and contest governorship election in Imo. The man lost to Hope Uzodinma and decided to come back. You did not say he has no right to come back. You now said the Southeast Caucus has decided to replace him. After he has come back, why didn't you replace him before he came back? After he has come back, now Supreme Court said the man is the secretary. The National Working Committee said the assistant secretary should be acting as secretary. That neither Ude Okoye or Sam Anyanwu will be recognized. And that's why Nyesom Wike has come out in the open about how they have had several meetings in Lagos, in Ibadan, and in Abuja, where they try to resolve this issue, and yet they denied. You recall that, was it not last week that Nyesom Wike issued a press statement that was even indicting Seyi Makinde of Oyo State, who happens to be his friend, political friend for many years, who they worked against Atiku Abubakar together in the lead up to 2023. Now he came out with scathing remarks about Seyi Makinde and Governor of Enugu, Peter Mba, that they are the reason behind why there is a instability in PDP. He has also indicted Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State. So will you say it is APC that is fueling that crisis? Nyesom Wike has come out to name names. How many? Let them name who in APC is trying to destabilize them. It's an internal crisis. And even assuming that APC is making effort, why don't you resist? Even the Bible says, resist the devil and it will flee from you. Is that not what the Bible says? So I don't think we should glamorize all these lame excuses. Oh, it's the ruling party, is this, is that. If you know it's the ruling party, checkmate the ruling party from having influence on you. First, resolve your own internal issue. The same thing with Labour Party. Abure's tenure is said to be over. Labour NLC said, we are the owner of the party, we are the one that registered the party, we don't longer have confidence in you, leave the party, let's reconstitute the leadership of the party. They went to court, up to Supreme Court. At the end of the day, they came out of Supreme Court and was still seeking legal interpretation of what the ruling says. They are now waiting on INEC to come out with its own interpretation. Where in all of this is APC guilty? So if before you blame the hawk for wickedness, Godwin, first blame Mother Hen for exposing our children to danger. Before you blame APC, first blame the party chieftains of those opposition parties who refused to behave themselves, who allow themselves to be used. And I've given you reasons why people defect in politics. It's either for appointments, or for influence peddling, or for return tickets, or for contracts. You want to win contracts? How many contracts? Look at PDP. PDP that cannot pay its ground rent. Is it not embarrassing that a party that was in power for 16 years could not use that 16 years to build a permanent secretariat for itself? With all the billions they were making from sales of nomination form. Go and look at what Nyesom Wike said against Iyorchia Ayu about alleged corruption. And now you could not, So what I'm trying to say is that it's very convenient to say it's APC that is trying to destabilize our party. These are not party of children. They are parties of adults. Some of them are octogenarian, some are nonagenarian, some are, septuagenarian, some are in their 50s and 60s. So what are we talking about? I think it's just a lame excuse. You just want to call a dog a bad name in order to argue it. If you know this is your problem, avoid that problem. If they can resolve their own issues, they have taken it to court. The court has ruled one way or the other. Why don't you abide with the court judgment? You are now finding it convenient to say it's APC. I don't believe all those thoughts is. I don't believe is the truth.
All right, Jide, thank you so much for even finding out time to be with us with this on Big Talk this evening. Would appreciate you for your time.
It's my pleasure. Do enjoy your salad break if you do have one.
I can also say the same thing, Jide, that you should enjoy the Salah ram and the goodies that comes with the Salah also, Jide.
Have a wonderful evening. Keep safe and stay blessed.
All right. Well, this is how far we can go this evening. We sincerely apologize for our inability to bring to you this evening the Akwa Ibom State and the person of Ini Enobong to give us his own perspective about the issues that led to his resignation and why he decided to resign from Governor Umo Eno's cabinet. We sincerely apologize, but we'll see how far that comes in for going forward in the course of a Big Talk. We'll promise to bring you that conversation, but it's how far we can go for time constraint. Is how far we can run this evening. Do remember that you can join the conversation on our various social media handle, and we encourage you to please like, subscribe, and follow us on our various social media handle showing on your screen right now using @Global TV NG. Remember, you can also download the Global TV Nigerian mobile app from your Android and iOS devices to also keep track of our broadcast. My name is Godwin Sunday. Always remember that peace and unity are the pathways to progress. Ramadan Karim to all Muslim faithful. Good night.